Canada, ally or now a frenemy to the United States? Friend, ally, working together, or perhaps someone who's going to cause trouble in the future? Hi, my name is Ross McLean, and this is the McLean Chronicles. I'm a former law enforcement officer, close protection specialist. I've worked protecting billionaires before, and I've worked doing security for some of the largest companies in the world. And I'm going to give you some warnings and the things to look for and the trade deals that go on between Canada and the U.S. going forward. Stay tuned. Canada's new leader, Mark Carney, has only recently come to power, but already he's setting off some very dangerous signals that, for people who are paying attention, are seeing it. Look, Canada and the U.S., we're great allies, have been for a long time. I mean, there's a couple of things that are true in this world. Geography is your destiny. We're right next to the U.S., longest unprotected border, right next to the biggest economy in the history of the world, and demographics are the next thing. Over 200 million people making more money than just about anywhere else on earth, and you're right next door to do trade. Canada and the U.S. have been operating a bit like this, but Carney wants to make it go like this, and he wants to go off and deal with Europe. And people have to pay attention to what he's saying and how duplicit it is with what he says. I'm going to introduce you to some Machiavellian principles, and if you haven't heard about Machiavelli before, pay attention. You're going to want to get the book or get AI to give you a summary on it. But Machiavelli was a book that was written called The Prince. This was a guy who used to advise kings in order to save his own behind. And he wrote the most pragmatic, double-dealing, self-serving methods of getting what you want than anybody ever did. He's basically the guy that came up with the saying of the ends justify the means. Whatever you want to get, you do it any way you want to. I'm going to give you some examples of what Mark Carney has done in a short period of time. He's been a little two-faced to Canadians and to Donald Trump. How did Carney come into office? Look, after Trudeau, that train wreck that was Trudeau that was in for a year, same party as Carney, called a snap election. In came Carney. He called the shortest election possible, little over a month, I think it was, that people could run and get things straight. At the time, tariffs had just started down in the U.S. What did Carney do? Here's his first little Machiavellian move. He came out and stoked anti-Trump, anti-U.S. hatred. He came right out and he said, Canada's relationship with the U.S. is now over.
The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperation, is over. President Trump again imposed unjustified tariffs on our nation in violation of our existing trade agreements. We will respond forcefully. Nothing is off the table to defend our workers and our country. And our response to these latest tariffs is to fight, is to protect, and to build. We will fight the U.S. tariffs with retaliatory trade actions of our own that will have maximum impact in the United States and minimum impacts here in Canada. It's my solemn promise that when President Trump threatens us again, we will fight back. We will fight back with everything we have to get the best deal for Canada. We will build an independent future for our country, stronger than ever. The road ahead will be long. There is no silver bullet. There is no quick fix. And I know and I understand that many are feeling anxious and worried about the future.
Canada's relationship will never be the same. That trade is over, and he's going to tariff and hurt the U.S. as best he can. Elbows up was his line, making a joke like hockey players would do about coming in with your elbows up. Carney was talking tough and bold and strong. The only thing is, he wasn't telling the truth. Yeah, Carney was talking tough. He got everybody all fired up to vote for him. And there he went with the Machiavellian rule from chapter 15. Appear tough and strong to the public, even if in secret you're going to do otherwise. Which is exactly what Mark Carney did. He talked tough. He said, we're putting on these tariffs. He signed executive-looking orders to make everybody think he was the tough guy. And then he called up Trump and said, hey, Donald, just so you know, I have to say all these things to get elected. I got to tell this sort of stuff to the people. But don't worry. And oh yeah, by the way, I'm taking all those tariffs off in secret that I'm putting on the US. Don't worry, Donald. They won't know about it though. I'm not telling the public and the electorate. That's what Mark Carney did. Lied completely to the Canadian people, then went and told Donald how he was going to lie to his own people to get elected. Trump's no fool. He recognizes what kind of guy this is. The next Machiavellian move by Mark Carney was the same. It comes through chapter 17 in the book, The Prince. It talks about using fear, get people scared, so scared they don't know what's going to happen, so that you can consolidate power. He used fear of the US and trade and the fact that this is why you needed him, because only he was man enough to deal with Donald Trump. Of course, we know that was all fake. He rolled right over for Donald. In fact, a group that's associated with him put out one of their newsletters to their people. They say, oh, don't worry, Mark is talking tough, but he's going to roll over as soon as the election is done for Donald. This is the sort of man we're talking about here that the US is dealing with. Now, let me tell you why that's important for the US. Machiavellian rule from chapter 14. When you see that you're licked, when there's a real strong power that you're up against, align with them, fall into line. But do your best to act like you're independent and you're your own man to your own people. Don't let them see that you're just quickly falling in line, which is exactly what Carney had done, deceiving the Canadian people. There's no end to the deception here, folks. Now, Trump also sees all of this. Chapter 18 of Machiavelli says it's okay to betray a trust to anybody in order to get the power and things that you want. And that's exactly what Mark did to the Canadian people. He betrayed them. But as Trump well knows, his song about the snake and all that, he's done more than a few deals. Does he recognize the type of guy that Mark Carney is? That he would lie to his own people that he's supposed to protect and yet come hat in hand to Donald Trump? We just recently had the G7 meeting here in Canada. And here was Mark Carney, the guy who was going to be tough on Trump, elbows up, I'm going to stand, be powerful. You could not stop him from kissing Donald's behind the whole time that he was here with Trump. I mean, listen to some of this from the guy who said he was going to be tough.
Mr. President, welcome to Canada.
Thank you very much.
It's a great honor. Happy birthday. A few days short.
A little bit.
A few days short, but didn't have a chance to see you on the day. Happy birthday to the U.S. military as well, 250th, and this is the 50th birthday, if you will, of the G7. This marks the 50th birthday of the G7, and the G7 is nothing without U.S. leadership, and your personal leadership of the United States, many issues. Geopolitics, economic, technology, and working hand in hand with the United States, Canada and the United States, and the other G7 partners with your leadership. I'm very much looking forward to the meeting and grateful to have you.
Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate it.
One of Mark Carney's problems, though, going forward, lies in chapter 7 of Machiavelli. He should read that if he hasn't. It tells you have to assess the other kings and politicians that you're up against. And it says one of the ways you assess them is how did they gain their kingdom? Did they gain it through long, arduous work? They won wars, they won battles, they came up, they did all the work to get their country, to lead the country? Are they people of character who've done it hard? Machiavelli says, if so, that's going to be a hard guy to get the kingdom away from if you're up against him. However, it also says that if the person got their power, much like Mark Carney did by slipping into it without really doing the work, deceiving people essentially, lying to them about certain things in order to gain power and gain the election, those people can lose their power as easily as they got it because they really didn't deserve to win it. Don't think that Trump and his negotiating team also doesn't know that. You know, it's ridiculous seeing him talking out of both sides of his mouth. He says, I'm a free trader. I'm all for free trade. Meanwhile, he's banning the production of all internal combustion engine cars in Canada, just pushing them off the map. Just doing that. He's mandating electric cars everywhere. That's nothing to do with free trade, nothing to do with the marketplace. He says one thing and does the other. He says, I'm going to spend less, yet invest more. He even wants to change how the accounting is going on for the government. He hasn't put forward a budget yet. Worst of all, though, is his turning on the military alliance with the US. He came out and he said he's re-looking at fulfilling the bargain for buying the rest of the F-35s. As I'm recording this, he's on a plane over to Europe to go sign a deal with the European Union to rearm Europe. That's the European Union's way of fighting against the US and the US military complex. They want everybody to spend their money only on European defense contractors and European defense things. That's where Mark Carney is going to put the money. Not next door to our biggest neighbor, the biggest economy, and the biggest power on earth. He's duplicitous. You've been warned, America. You've been warned, Canada. Keep an eye on this guy. I've done other videos about China's influence here. Mark Carney is definitely in with China. Have a look at those, and let's see where this rolls from here. Hopefully, Trump will straighten this guy out and straighten it out for Canada as well. This is Ross McLean from McLean Chronicles. If you enjoyed this content, please like, subscribe, leave me a comment below, and I'll try and answer any questions that you have. Bye for now.